Yes, sir.
Hi, I'm Adrian Wong from University of Hong Kong. My question is about the role of the media, because the conference has a lot of press coverage about, addressing the public on how to tackle with the problem of climate change. But do you see this as a good thing or as an obstacle? Because some people might be reading sort of like the same story all the time about how, climate's getting worse and we could do this and that. Like, what's your take on the role of the media?
We're elected officials. We welcome the media, as long as you spell our name correctly. No, I think a public discussion, a vibrant public discussion on this issue is very important, particularly because it's been this misleading idea that a vibrant economy and a clean environment are opposed. They're not at all. And I think all mayors encourage. I mean, we all work in ways. Hong Kong is engaging its stakeholders right now as we speak. All of our cities do that. It's routine, and the media is an ally in getting the information out and encouraging a healthy debate and interest. And part of what people need to do is change their own behavior. And part of our conference is about cultural activities that also get the message out through organizations like Cape Farewell. And that's equally as important, I think, as the role of the media. So from my perspective, it's very important. I'm sure, I don't know if...
No, just a comment, really, short comment. I don't think the one can ever argue convincingly, put forward the compelling argument against continuing education and ensuring awareness and getting people to do more on such an important and critical question.
Okay, we've got time for two more, so I'm going to take here and here because you've both been waiting. I'm sorry, some of the mayors may be able to take questions afterwards one-on-one. Yes.
Hello, I'm a reporter with China Daily, and my question is, it is easy for media and politicians to talk about concepts like low carbon and sustainable growth, but how can you persuade ordinary people to adopt these concepts and make it a lifestyle in their daily life? Thank you.
I know a lot of people whose kids have asthma and they have to take them to the hospital very frequently, 4 times as much as those kids who live in places where there's not a lot of pollution. Is that enough of an answer for you? I mean, if you don't understand, if you don't understand that it is your life that is being endangered by pollution in the air or drinking water or your ability to earn a living by congestion, I don't know what else to tell you. You have your future in your hands, and the public, I think, has to do something. And I just give you a good example. You think people don't pay attention. We've put a smoking ban in. It's one of the most popular things we've ever done. Life expectancy in New York City in the last 9 years has gone up 1 year and 7 months, much more than any other place in America. And it's because the public has stopped smoking, because the public has insisted on lower crime, the public's insisted on traffic laws that are obeyed so that you have fewer deaths. The public, when you explain to them that this is real, it's not something that's going to happen 50 years from now, possibly, then they respond. And there's a lot of examples that, not everybody, but if you want to live longer, I would suggest you don't smoke. I would suggest you don't be obese. Obesity is the biggest single health issue, public health issue in America that's growing. But it's time for parents to say to their kids, no more.
Yes, sir. Yes, you. Yep.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. I'm Daniel Chan from the TVB News. Maybe I have a question to ask Mr. Yao. Because the Hong Kong government plans to establish a low-carbon city in Hong Kong, but some of the environmental protection organizations complain that what the Hong Kong plans to do is to establish more nuclear facilities near Hong Kong, and without a full assessment of the safety, it would endanger Hong Kong citizens. Can you give some response in this aspect? And also, will the Hong Kong government have some targets to be achieved in this C40 forums in order such as the low carbon agreements or something else? Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm in fact expecting that question with some of our Greenpeace sort of young people hanging out there. Yes, what we have been asking the public on the low carbon strategy is more than a single issue of fuel mix. The proposal to use more nuclear in our fuel mix is one of the many phases of solution that we are proposing. Particularly for the local sort of media, you have seen us rolling out the plan, not only by setting a target, which is very ambitious, above what the nation has set for ourselves. It also rolls out a package of proposal, essentially highlighting both demand side as well as supply side. So you have heard this morning's discussion, both locally and international, regionally. We're all talking about behavioral changes. We're talking about demand side changes, including some of the questions you throw out. But at the same time, while we are cutting down our demand for electricity, while we are using more EVs, if our fuel mix remain high carbon, high fossil, and particularly in the case of Hong Kong, more than half of them are coming from going to retired coal-fired generators. We got a job to do in advancing a cleaner, lower carbon fuel mix. Now, what we are proposing is not entirely new. First, we got to move from fuel to cleaner fuel, and natural gas has been a component that we are seeking to expand. And the other is any sort of non-fossil fuel, including renewable energies. But we are also talking about a time frame in the next 10 years, which is quite short in terms of energy planning. So in what extent can we extend from the current 23% of nuclear consumption up to, say, half as a means to suppress coal-fired generation is a task before us. So I would expect the public to offer us more comments, suggestions in the totality of things. And I think typical in Hong Kong, and also addressing some of the question, well, in the case of Hong Kong, while people are increasingly aware of the problem of climate change, sometimes we need more discussion. And even comments on limitation, failure, or even controversy, be they landfills, be they sort of whether what proportion nuclear should contribute, are also part of the public education and engagement. So I think with this open and candid manner, that's something that we need to move on, not just for Hong Kong, but also on other places. I brought along a book by a distinguished climate change scientist who was also in town addressing the issue. And in this book, he also mentioned about whether nuclear should be one of the options. So we need this kind of discussion. But back to the local policy, the 4 pillars supporting our energy portfolio are very clear: safe, secure, environmental friendly, as well as economically affordable. So we need to strike a balance among these 4, and I think the answer would be among the public. Thank you.
So I'd like to thank all of the media for coming today. We very much appreciate your questions. I'm sorry we only have so much time. I also want to thank my colleagues. This is an extremely distinguished group of mayors and civic leaders, and I very much appreciate their leadership on the issues facing our cities and our planet. Thank you very much.
I'll see you later on.
Yep.